Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. After Batman Eternal finished, I wasn't overly pleased with the result. Too many unanswered questions, it was overly long, and there was that writer's pet of a character that was unnecessarily and unnaturally favored to the detriment of other established characters. I would only be less pleased when it was announced there'd be a sequel title, again storied by James Tynion IV, with some assistance by Scott Snyder and other writers filling in the issues alongside various graphic artists. So, repeating the same formula, and just as they reintroduced Stephanie Brown with a terrible new origin, they purported to be doing the same thing with Cassandra Cain, one of my favorite comic book characters, and one I'd hope they'd never reinvent. Yeah, really off to a great start now, aren't we?
Also, consider this. The word eternal is synonymous with forever. Both words have been used for the title of a Batman project that, while having a few redeeming qualities, also suffered from innumerable problems. Batman Forever was then followed up by an even worse movie that added Robin's name to the title.
Will the same ring true when I'm done taking issue with Batman and Robin Eternal, or will the creators have learned from their mistakes? Let's crack open issue number 1 and see if this comic makes us want to turn the page or turn our heads.
Scripted by James Tynion IV, we start off in Cairo several years ago as a familiar scene plays out. Two parents and their child exit a movie theater, are confronted by a mysterious figure, and a pair of gunshots later, the child's parents fall to the ground.
DC Comics would later sue the gunman for copyright and trademark infringement. Also the little orphan boy.
We then cut to Gotham and a familiar 2-page title spread, the top showing the redesigned original dynamic duo in the past, narrated by a nostalgic Dick Grayson in the present. Text notes how he was Batman's first partner, former Nightwing, and now a spy. His current partner, Poppy, is agitated because he's chasing a rogue weapons designer instead of taking care of Spiral business. Get it? Spiral? 'Cause who cares? As they motorcycle up a building, because super tech I guess, Poppy is concerned that Agent 37 is going to miss the window for their assignment, but Grayson has backup. That's when Red Hood, hanging from a tether and sporting a new look since we last saw, starts shooting out windows. Text details he was Robin number 2. Yes, he is quite a number 2. Died and came back because comics. He reassures Dick he's being non-lethal, but shooting up a skyscraper may attract the attention of the new Batman in town.
To clarify, Scott Snyder's Endgame story saw a huge face-off between Batman and Joker, leaving both missing as a result and presumed dead. Remember, presumed. But since Gotham needs a bat, former Commissioner James Gordon got himself into shape, quit smoking, and was outfitted with a special mecha bat suit. You'll see what I mean soon enough.
Their quarry crashes into the R of the building's electronic sign. Because Robins? When Batman's third partner, Red Robin, shows up. As he compliments the crook's tech, he's already disabled it, as more text says his IQ is 142 and he's a bit of a show-off. The felon plans on resorting to old-fashioned lead, which hacking can't disrupt, but then he's decked by both Grayson and Hood. Tim could have hacked the guy's neural computer network to take him down, note the wire sticking out of the guy's head, but what fun would that be? Jason is up for hitting the nearest bar, even going so far as to contribute to the delinquency of a 16-year-old Tim Drake, while Grayson finds it strange to be looking over Gotham again, the way the Bat family does it, now that his current job means spying on superheroes. There's a new Batman, Bruce has lost his memories, and there's still the matter of what to do with the stuff in the Batcave. Tim wonders if working together like the three just have is what Bruce wanted all along, like he chose them for that reason. But Jason says there's no use in worrying about it since they'll never know. Anyway, Grayson's got work to do, so he borrows one of Red Robin's spare grapple guns. In this town, how else am I supposed to get around?
Yeah, see, Grayson sort of faked his death after he was unmasked to the world as Nightwing during the Forever Evil storyline. Bats knew he was alive, of course, but no one else did until just before this story, in his own title, Grayson. I don't know how any of his fellow sidekicks reacted, and DC's ongoing stupidity doesn't make me want to invest the time, money, or energy to find out.
Elsewhere, Bat Gordon is putting it on record that the budget for Project Batman is into 8 figures, yet a teenage girl manages to elude their technology with a customized Wi-Fi router hooked to a car battery. He also makes a Voltron reference that seems weird coming from the old commish. However, being a father of another clever girl, he knows his target is nearby, wanting to watch the old man make a fool of himself. He lifts up a dumpster to find Bluebird, never Batman's partner, who makes wonderful toys.
Ugh. Okay, against my better judgment, I'm giving this another shot. I'll admit, while I don't know if a router hooked to a car battery can actually disrupt sensors, cobbling together junk for something useful is a unique talent that Batman's other allies don't really have historically. And unique is something Harper Row could desperately stand to be more of. But that reference to Burton's Batman is better than she deserves!
Jim says that she's only going to be detained and relieved of her costume and equipment for her protection. Bluebird snaps back that he's not Batman, and the real deal was going to train her to be one of the best. Figuring the Batbot is protected against an electromagnetic pulse, she whistles for the arrival of a mosquito-sized drone that uses just the right frequency to counter the mech's computer and freezes its joints. Then she says she knows the real Bat is gone and she won't get what she had coming to her, then scolds Jim Gordon, for calling her kiddo when she can disable him in half a second. And despite the fact they were clearly on ground level, she finishes her self-righteous vomiting while swinging among skyscrapers.
First off, Harper Row never had anything coming to her. She asked Batman to train her in Batman Eternal, and Batman replied, maybe. She doesn't deserve anything. And frankly, Bluebird is not an appropriate superhero name for her. She should be going by Entitlement Brat or something. Secondly, for a character that is established as not having a lot of money to throw around, tricking out tasers and having a bunch of monitors in her bedroom is a stretch enough. You can imagine those are salvages, but a bug-sized drone that can disable an advanced mech designed and built by a team of engineers is just fan-fiction-level tripe. But hey, since that's obviously allowed, then it shouldn't be strange that since I put on this shirt, I was able to build this arm-mounted ion disruptor cannon that's fueled by my anger. Who's up for target practice?
Moving on, Dick Grayson is at Gotham University's Tower of Enlightenment, probably telling people he's not cosplaying as Clark Kent. He's looking for an alleged dirty bomb set to go off during proceedings for a new children's psychology department. After just being taken out of Gotham and sent back by Spiral, Grayson thinks the job is kinda small for them, but Poppy tells him they go where they're told. Dick gets nostalgic again, recalling the university was where one of his first big cases started, as he and Batman were up against the Scarecrow. At the time, Professor Crane was helping the cops track outbreaks of uncontrollable fear, and the dynamic duo had to face his manipulated grad students. Dick opines on how paralyzing fear toxin can be, how doubt can invade your every thought, and wants someone else to shape you into something fearless. But later for that. It was that summer that really changed things between him and the Dark Knight, how they chased Crane across the globe, and it all seemed to start there in the university. Grayson turns to find a bunch of kids behind them, all the adults mysteriously absent, and one of them creepily says that since it started here, she thought it would be the perfect place to kill him.
You're talking about Dan Didio in a wig, aren't you?
The spy boy's gear isn't working, and the children of the Corn start telling him how Batman never really believed in him, and paid top dollar to replace him. I know it sounds ominous, and I won't spoil it for you, but rest assured, they're alluding to something very stupid. The kids draw guns on him, and Grayson flips off a wall to avoid their fire. But wait, they don't want to kill him. That's the job of someone named Orphan, who approaches but always say our blood-stained boots and a shadow, saying Mother is trying to tidy up mistakes like Grayson that need correcting.
Speaking of mistakes, post-Flashpoint character reinventions. Why aren't those being corrected?
Agent 37's had enough of this, so it's out the stained glass window and into a waiting van, telling Poppy they were set up, only for her to draw a weapon on him too. Sheesh, if Grayson ordered a pizza, would the Domino's guy pull a 45 on him? Mother says hello. Poppy fires, but only grazes her partner as he absconds with a motorcycle. She tells Orphan of his escape and that they have to remove other targets. He doesn't take orders from her, saying she answers to someone else, and Poppy concedes, asking who they'll go after first. We see Orphan from the back as he says they'll go after the most important one of all, the one who could lead them straight to her if they figured out how to look. Gee, with dialogue that vague, I can't wait for the payoff. Grayson, meanwhile, is trying to contact his allies while heading to the cave to look for answers, when he's kicked off his motorcycle by a teenage Lin Bei Fong from The Legend of Korra. Oh, no, wait, that's Cassandra Cain. Kicking someone off a motorcycle traveling at high speeds.
I feel so confident about this.
Grayson charges her, and in the ensuing fight, there's a very clever visual nod to Cassandra's ability to read people. Red translucent dots mark certain areas, likely vulnerabilities. She easily dominates the fight, but Grayson can tell she's holding back, and her response as to why is one word. Mother. So she can speak from the get-go, which is a departure I have mixed feelings about. More on that later. Grayson wants to know who Mother is, and if the girl that whooped him is the Orphan. But Cass only repeats herself, hands Grayson a bat flash drive, and disappears. Bluebird has returned home with Chinese takeout, and is told by her brother Cullen that Stephanie Brown, aka Spoiler, was upset that Harper went out without her, and Harp hopes that she's not out on her own, what with the Batbot on the lookout for costume kids.
Before Flashpoint, Stephanie Brown became known to and beloved by her fans for her tenacity, as she would still go out fighting crime despite other vigilantes, more well-known and experienced vigilantes, ordering her not to, even Batman. She would frequently defy the Dark Knight. Now, she's not allowed to go out if Harper Row doesn't want her to. Oh, these reinventions are just so great. If you're a masochist.
Cullen expresses concern that with Gotham getting more dangerous and Harp not getting that bat training, she'll end up dead like their mom. Harper tells him that won't happen since she knows what she's doing. But it's really more being a writer's pet that'll get her by. Or editor's pet. Someone's pet, anyway. She'll get cleaned up and they can watch a movie, but her bathroom is currently occupied by Orphan, saying, "She's the key to everything they cannot know, and so must die." That's right. Harper is the important one mentioned earlier.
Hey, I am all for getting rid of Harper Row, but don't give me this malarkey about being important. I'm not that gullible.
Grayson's arrived at the Batcave, much of its equipment draped over in Bruce's absence, and requests files on Mother and Orphan, but there aren't any. He plugs in the flash drive, initializing Shadow File 141287. A bunch of hollow panels are projected, one saying Mother's children must be terminated before Phase 3, possibly meaning she doesn't want them to see future Marvel Studio movies. And others have names listed, including his, Tim's, Jason's, Harper's, and Cassie's. A hologram of Bats appears, saying that he's not the man Dick thought he was, hoped his failure would never come to light, and that their pursuit of Crane hid a darker mystery. He instructed Cassie Kane to give Dick the file, 'cause, Alfred could never do it. And if the hologram's playing, Mother has returned, and Bats ain't around to stop her. Holobats warns Mother shouldn't be underestimated. She can control anyone, and that she is his greatest sin. The recording stops just after Batman hopes for forgiveness, leaving Grayson rather confused. Jump back to Cairo several years ago, as the gunman has confirmed the shooting of the boy's parents. On the final page of the issue, Batman holds a smoking gun as he tells Mother, "Everything went according to plan."
People said the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman improved on the movie, but I knew they were wrong.
On to issue 2, Tim Seeley on script, where Orphan is standing over a battered Harper, their fight having moved out of the bathroom. Orphan is disappointed that the girl isn't tougher given her life, and notes that her brother ran off for help.
Hey, you're allegedly a big bad assassin and she's still alive. Harper Row is not the only giant disappointment of a character in that room.
That's when Cassie flying kicks her way in, and punches Orphan so hard he tears up? Did fragments of his mask get in his eyes? Anyway, they tussle some more as Grayson pulls up outside, contacting Matron, head of Spiral, about his psycho partner Poppy. Matron, aka Helena Bertinelli, believed she was clean, give or take some cannibalism, as noted by an editor's caption. Looks like they learned a little something from Eternal. And the agency has no records on Mother. As he sees Orphan knocked out a window, Grayson goes offline until the leak is contained. He acrobats up the fire escape as Stephanie Brown watches, groceries in tow. "Kiss me, sexy Batman."
Well, doesn't that whimsical bit of dialogue make up for the basic ruination of the qualities that endeared this character to her readers in the first place? No, it doesn't.
Orphan chides Cassandra for growing up wanting affection when she should have wanted strength. Fighting over Harper, referring to herself as a bleeding doorstop, though I imagine a bleeding doorstop would actually be more interesting and unique. Orphan is knocked out a window. Harper reaches for one of her weapons, ordering Cassie to move as she fires at the fire escape, shocking her attacker and sending him over the side, to be caught by Grayson. But the killer breaks free and runs off, as Cass gives chase, signaling our spy boy to check on Harper. He discovers she's a cape too, and is then confronted by a fully costumed spoiler. "Back away from my roommate, or, spoiler alert, you're gonna gargle teeth."
So, she admits the girl is her roommate, compromising her identity, and she's still on that stupid catchphrase. With each page, my hopes that this comic will be an improvement over its predecessor dissolve evermore.
Steph recognizes Dick as Nightwing, whose death was televised during the Forever Evil storyline, and helps him help Harper. She even gets to flip the paradigm, and now she gets to tell Harper to shut up. Who tells them Cassandra's name? Anyway, there's a funny smell in the air that Dick recognizes as fear gas, propelling us into a flashback to his days as Robin, while he and Bats were looking for a scarecrow in a cornfield. Logical idea, I suppose. Then Robin is calling out for the villain playfully, claiming it's for a psychological edge, until Batman calls his attention to how some of the corn is pressed down, similar in technique to people who create crop circle hoaxes. An aerial view sees the impressions spelling out, "I am fear," which they probably can't see. Feeling Crane is now lost within himself, Batman calls out to him that he was once a trusted psychiatrist, but threw it all away. He and Robin tackle a scarecrow, but the one they're looking for leaps from hiding and sprays them with fear gas, and it's not long before Robin sees misshapen visions of Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, and Joker taunting him. Then a grotesque Batman joins in, saying the boy tarnishes his legacy and is a disappointment, as the real deal is trying to help his ward. In the present, after stopping Harper's bleeding, Spoiler asks where Nightwing was when Gotham needed him, but Grayson doesn't feel like explaining himself to her, only wanting her name. She reaches out for a handshake, saying, "I'm the Spoiler."
This is essentially still the New 52, with or without that stupid banner, so I strongly disagree with that statement.
He wanted her real name, and she gives it over rather submissively. But hey, she knows he's a crime fighter, so I guess it's not that big a deal. Dick notes her name wasn't on the list, which means he must have read or memorized all those names before getting to the Narrows. Yeah. Anyway, Red Robin arrives, and we find out that he bugged the apartment with cameras and sensors to monitor for trouble, not to be a peeping Tom. But this is still technically the New 52, like I said, so there would probably be someone who'd think being a peeping Tom would be an admirable quality for this guy. The cameras didn't see where Orphan or Cassandra went, and Dick tells him about the list, which includes Jason. Speaking of, he's calling via wrist-mounted holoprojector while standing in a bar aiming his weapon at Cassandra.
In the course of chasing the killer in white, did she stop and say to herself, I should go beat up Red Hood? Because, yeah, I can kind of understand that.
Issue number 3, Seeley still scripting, picks up where number 2 left off, with Hood adding he can handle a 90-pound girl. Cass responds to this by kicking him across the room into a jukebox, and we get some quirky dialogue from Hood that acts as a pretext to show off some crazy claw spikes on his gauntlets. Someone's overcompensating. We jump to Gotham's South Side, where at a gas station bathroom, Poppy is in her underwear, using magnets to attract nanites off her body. I'm really torn here. Sure, they're probably made of metal so they'd attract, but it feels so goofy, and not in a good way. Anywho, as she gets dressed, she mentions that soon Grayson and Helena Bertinelli won't stand in the way of her mission, and it'll be just her and Mother, while some nanites are seen infiltrating her cell phone. Then we return to the bar fight, where suddenly, not only can Red Hood tell that Cass is reading him, he's certain he can get the upper hand by surprising himself, which I don't think would work.
Something similar to this was mentioned in Batgirl Redemption Road, where Nightwing thought that eventually he would do something surprising and catch Cassandra unawares, even though her whole deal involves reading body language in real time to predict someone's movements. Maybe that technique would work. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea of Red Hood being smart enough to figure out Cassie's technique at all.
It does look like blood flying from Hood's slash, but we don't actually see any damage on Cass when he has her pinned down. He's about to fillet her when Grayson stops him, saying she was only trying to protect him. Now if only I can pummel people under such pretense. Hood mentioned she spilled some beer, but interrupted the pool game he was losing, so no biggie. Wait, was he playing pool while suited up? Dick fills him in on recent events, and when Harper's wounds act up, they take her to the Batcave. We get the end of Batman's recording as Steph tells Harper she's being treated by a machine that's patched Batman up a bunch of times in the past. Also, there's a Bat Butler. Remember when there was some kind of vetting process for letting people not closely associated with Batman see Bruce Wayne's butler in the Batcave? DC sure doesn't. The three Batmigos figure Cassie knows something, and with the exception of Red Robin, fought them without trying to beat them. Hood tries threatening info out of her, but Grayson attempts just asking. Then Tim, oh lordy Lou, he says she has the mentality of a child and suggests bribing her with candy. What about anything that has transpired makes that a reasonable conclusion for Tim? Just because she's not talkative? Why is Tim still both a jerk and a moron? Even Cassie's insulted by this ridiculous comic. She approaches the three idiots, tapping Jason's hand, Tim's head, which he clearly doesn't use very often, and Grayson's chest before approaching Harper. I'm guessing Cass has recognized them respectively as the muscle, brains, and heart of the group, but even if that's true, it's not like it'll mean anything. Not if this stays in step with the previous Eternal story. A hungry nanite bites into Agent 37's flesh, reminding him to contact Director Bertinelli. He did turn off his hypnos, whatever that is, so this is the only means to get his attention. We see another woman with Helena, but unless you're a reader of Grayson, you don't know who she is, and neither do I. Seriously, guys, you put in introductory text in issue 1, what happened? Anyway, after Poppy's reversal, Bertinelli scoured further into Spiral's archives and found reference to Mother in the logs of Agent Zero, Spiral's first spy. Put on speaker, Helena reads that the agent was having trouble with the Hypnos, but learned of Mother and her claim to build human beings to whatever need arose. Grayson questions who'd need a designer human being, and of course it's Jason that insinuates their mentor would be just the customer for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. After all, finding someone better than Jason Todd would be really, really difficult. Oh, I knew I couldn't finish that with a straight face.
Flashback several years, where the Batmobile arrives at the cave, and Batman begins an audio log. Apparently, the antipsychotic injections didn't help Robin, and he needs some details from his sidekick to help against Scarecrow. After Batman unmasks, Dick is lucid enough to describe his experience, like the beginnings of a panic attack, old fears vaguely resurfacing, the feeling of someone after you, loved ones gone, and the loneliness before a wave of sheer terror. Seeing their enemies mocking him, Batman disappointed in him, and his biggest fear that he isn't good enough to be Robin. Masking back up, Batman tells the computer to search for neurotransmitter targeting hallucinogens, almost like the kid didn't just pour his soul out. Though if the injections didn't work, what did Batman see? Nothing, Robin. I saw nothing.
Certainly not snake clowns. Don't be ridiculous. Who'd be afraid of snake clowns? I'm not on trial here!
Helena informs him that they located Poppy, and it seems she ate her nanites. One, however, managed to get inside of her cell phone, though we saw more than one, and before it died from no organics to feed on, it transmitted her call history, specifically a caller that originated at the Beacon Tower, which is holding a Gotham Embraces You gala in honor of Bruce Wayne. Grayson cycles out, leaving Tim to man the computer while he and Jason keep their guests out of trouble. Harper's been stitched up, and Cassie motions her to follow her into the shadows of the cave. Sure, they were told to stay put, but how many more chances will Harper have to skulk around Batman's crib?
And if she falls to her death in a crevasse or gets mauled by bats, nothing of value will be lost.
Hood shows just how incompetent he is with his inability to watch someone while they're lying down, and is easily impressed by how well Red Rob handles the Bat computer. At the aforementioned gala, amnesiac Bruce is about to go to an hors d'oeuvres tasting in the kitchen. And note the atypical beard.
Conan O'Brien grew a beard after leaving NBC and before getting his current show on TBS. And so did Stephen Colbert between Comedy Central and CBS. When he gets his memory back, is Batman making a move to Marvel or IDW? After years of Flashpoint idiocy, I wouldn't blame him. Take Stephanie and Cassandra with you!
As Wayne is led by the chef, passing a fairly obvious Jessica Rabbit cosplayer, we see a couple people with cell phones softly say, "Yes, Mother." Reaching the kitchen, he's surrounded by guests and staff, all wielding hatchets.
Everyone's a beard critic. Tune in next time where we see Bruce and his face mane make it out alive. A danger I know all too well.